How do you know when you should hire an expert? According to Malcolm Gladwell's bestseller called Outliers, he estimates that it takes about 10,000 hours to become an expert. So I imagine this has to vary depending on task and profession and different things that may come up. This comes up for my particular situation because this last weekend we started having issues with our dishwasher, and we're kind of having that debate. Should we hire someone? Should I try to fix it? Initially, I did try to do it myself, and so I'm going to go over a couple of factors that I kind of weighed and that everyone should weigh when they're thinking about potentially hiring an expert to make sure it's the best decision or not to do. So when it comes to that, it's the things you want to focus on is the time. So does it really take you 10,000 hours to figure out the solution for this issue, or is it simple enough? Is there not too many intricate parts kind of feeding in where if this, then that, if this, then that, if this, then that? Once you start getting into all that complexity, that's really when you start moving into that expert territory. So determining how much time it's going to take of your own is going to be important, and then comparing that to the time it would take an expert. So I know now I know that with this repair, it's going to be much faster and things are going to go a lot smoother by just hiring someone. I'll describe the situation a little bit more to you really quick. So our dishwasher stopped drying. I looked it up on YouTube, saw some scenarios that sounded pretty similar. So I was like, it seems, at least with this particular thing that I was identifying, that it should be easy enough. Let me start to work through it and see how it goes. Ultimately, got to a point where I made those changes and it didn't do the fix. And so now we are moving into that expert territory for our situation. And there's a lot of things that go into it. So the time that I felt like I had to dive in and figure out now what's really going on, I already wasted some time trying to do this. And then also just I improperly diagnosed it. So that's part of being an expert. One of the things I make sure when I'm working with my clients is that I understand the whole picture before I just start rambling off all these potential things we could do, because I don't want to steer someone down the wrong path without knowing the proper situation, what the proper diagnosis is before we can start having a solution. So that's something I did right out of the gates, is I improperly diagnosed it and wasted a lot of time. So not only your time, but then the next thing is cost. And so your time in terms of cost, what is your time worth to you? You definitely want to weigh that when you're thinking about hiring an expert, and what's the cost going to be to get an expert too. So you're kind of weighing those things back and forth. How much is it going to cost to get an expert? How much is my time worth, and how much time am I expecting to do this? An additional things that you will want to weigh is what's the potential downside of making a mistake. If I make a mistake and it's going to be so much more money than just hiring someone outright, well, there's a big risk and a low reward of trying to figure that out yourself potentially. So that's something that you want to weigh as well. So what's the downside of making that mistake? Is it just losing time? Is it losing time and losing money because you broke something that's a bigger problem, you created a bigger problem than you had originally? That was something that was going through my mind as I was trying to do that more simple fix that I was hoping was going to take care of the job. And yeah, constantly. So one of the things in the video they said is if you accidentally drop the screw, it could go into the motor, then you have to detach all this stuff. And that was, I know if that would have happened, it would have been outside of my bounds. We'd have to hire someone, and it may end up costing more than if we would have hired someone outright. So being aware of those mistakes and what those could cause was definitely I was aware of. And so that really reduced my confidence. That's kind of the final piece is, once you do something, how do you know for sure that you fixed it? It might have fixed that, but maybe it caused an additional issue. I wasn't sure if that simple solution I did, if I properly sealed everything right, is it kind of leaking down now into my basement or under the dishwasher? Maybe I fixed the thing, but then I'm creating another issue, and now we're going to need new flooring or something. So I was a little bit freaking out about that, and that's kind of part of that confidence, not knowing exactly what I was doing. Made me a little bit worried. And so there's definitely some value to peace of mind that I didn't have even going through that process and thinking that I fixed it and finding out that I didn't. But now moving forward, I definitely don't have any confidence at all of finding the solution. So we're going to hire an expert to fix our dishwasher. So those are things you definitely want to weigh, and there's no right or wrong answer. It's kind of a value of your time, what the risk and downside potential is if you make a mistake, and what's that peace of mind, confidence kind of equation look like for you too? If you're going to be losing sleep, that whatever you try doing it yourself, maybe it's working, but you're never going to know, or you're not going to know for until it's too late, and then all of a sudden you find out it was a mistake and cost you a whole bunch of money. So just kind of tying this back to what I do in financial planning, I actually crossed the 10,000 hour mark probably about last year. So I just did the quick math. I've been doing this for at least 12,000 hours now over my career, and that's not including the nights and weekends that I kind of pour into doing my work and researching it and doing those things. But I also worked in financial services well before I decided I'm becoming a financial planner. So I have some additional kind of financial background that's been very useful for helping kind of younger clients who I serve. And so that's just a little bit about me and how I may be that expert you're looking for if you're concerned about making that big mistake or don't have confidence in the direction you're heading. But yeah, feel free to reach out. And hopefully this was helpful as you start to determine with other services whether or not you should be working with an expert or something that is within your range and it's not too risky to go and do it yourself. So take care.